Hey now, all of you fans of Halloween and horror, it is Black Metal Werewolf making a brand new video for the Halloween season. And today we are going to be taking a look at Halloween watch lists. So a Halloween watch list is a relatively simple concept for anyone to understand. Over the years, people have compiled their favorite Halloween and horror movies into a list and then shared them online so other people can watch their list during the Halloween season. But I don't want you guys to waste your time watching all of these movies to determine whether or not these lists are good or not, so I am here to play judge, jury, and executioner to determine whether or not these watch lists are any good. I went onto Google Images and found 5 random watch lists, and I'm going to be rating them 1 to 10. 1 being god-awful, 10 being amazing. So let's jump into it and rate some Halloween watch lists. Okay, the first list we have is a Netflix watch list, so let's get started. We have Hellfest, Cam, Apostle, Sweetheart, Fear Street 1994, There's Someone Inside Your House, #Alive, Under the Shadow, Gerald's Game, Fear Street 1978, Creep, Veronica, The Ritual, Ghost Lab, Fear Street 1666, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight, The Strangers, No One Gets Out Alive, Night Teeth, Blood Red Sky, The Conjuring 2, Hush, The Perfection, The Babysitter, Goosebumps The Haunted Mask, Deep Blue Sea, His House, Crimson Peak, and finally, Insidious. So I understand that Netflix doesn't exactly have the best selection of horror movies, and it changes every year, but even with that being said, this list is not very good. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some good movies on here, like Hellfest, Insidious, Deep Blue Sea, The Ritual, I really enjoyed that. But with every good movie on here, you have to wade through a lot of bullshit. For example, whoever made this list put all 3 Fear Street movies on here. Those movies are god-awful, and I would avoid those like grim death. They also have #Alive, which was mediocre at best. So if I had to rate this list, I'm giving this one a 4 out of 10. It's below average. There is some good on here, but you have to watch a lot of crap to get to the good. Okay, next we have an HBO Max watch list. Let's get started. Malignant, The Blob, 28 Days Later, Event Horizon, House, It, The Return of the Living Dead, Eyes Without a Face, 13 Ghosts, The Brood, Eraserhead, The Mummy, Night of the Living Dead, The Craft, Final Destination 3, Freddy vs. Jason, The Amityville Horror, Ouija, Origin of Evil, The Shining, Cursed, Scream, The Empty Man, Diabolic, Firestarter, Freaky, The Hunger, Scanners, Blade, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Carnival of Souls, and finally, The Evil Dead. Well, you can definitely tell HBO Max has way better movies than Netflix because this list is awesome. There are some movies on here that aren't very good, like Final Destination 3. That is, in my opinion, 3 and onward is when the series really started going downhill. The first 2 Final Destination movies are great. After that, not so much. But there's also a lot of really good stuff on here. Malignant, that's a relatively new one that I really enjoyed. You also have The Blob, 28 Days Later, Event Horizon, Scanners, Blade, A Nightmare on Elm Street, and even some older ones like Carnival of Souls. These are all great movies. So if I had to rate this on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. There are some nuggets of crap in there, but for the most part, this is a very solid list. Okay, let's get into the next list. The Blair Witch Project, Tales from the Hood 1 and 2, Night of the Demons, Creepshow 2, Grindhouse, Planet Terror and Death Proof, Drag Me to Hell and Army of Darkness, House of 1000 Corpses, Idle Hands, The Amityville Horror, Fright Night, the remakes of A Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th, Goosebumps 1 and 2, From Dusk Till Dawn and Bad Times at El Royale, The Changeling, Sleepy Hollow, Arsenic and Old Lace, Bride of Frankenstein, It Follows, Halloween and the reboot of Halloween, House and House 2, Hocus Pocus and Paranorman, Sinister, Pet Sematary, The Fog, The Gate and Trick or Treat, Suspiria, The Witches of Eastwich, The Witches, The Conjuring, Frankenweenie and A Nightmare Before Christmas, and finally Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. So for the most part, this list is actually pretty good, but there are a few things on here that I don't quite understand. As you can see, some of the nights are double features. Now in some of these instances, it makes perfect sense. For example, watching Halloween and the reboot in the same night makes total sense. One is a direct sequel to the other. You also have Goosebumps and Goosebumps 2 together. Once again, that makes total sense. But then you get From Dusk Till Dawn and Bad Times at El Royale. Why would you group those together into one night? I do not see the connection between those two movies. Not to mention, Bad Times at El Royale is not a horror or Halloween movie. It's a drama, I guess the best way to put it. So why would you want to watch that during October? I have absolutely no idea. Also, they have The Gate and Trick or Treat together in one night. Now those movies are both great, but why would you watch them together in one night? I just don't see a connection there. But other than that, for the most part, this list is pretty good. There are some stinkers on here, like the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street and A Nightmare Before Christmas. You can probably skip those nights and maybe split up some of these double features. So if I had to rate this one, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. There is some crap in there, as well as some things I don't quite understand, but for the most part, it's a pretty solid list. So not every Halloween watch list has to be filled with horrific gore fests. There are some not so scary Halloween movies you can watch, and that's why I found this list and decided to use it. So we have Corpse Bride, Casper, Hocus Pocus, Halloween Town, Ghostbusters, Scooby-Doo, Sleepy Hollow, Teen Wolf, Colossal, The Craft, Young Frankenstein, The Addams Family, Ernest Scared Stupid, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, Wallace and Gromit Curse of the Were-Rabbit, Warm Bodies, Practical Magic, Coraline, Gremlins, Beetlejuice, Fun Size, Clue, Heathers, Ghostbusters again for some reason, Goosebumps, Shaun of the Dead, Hotel Transylvania, The Haunted Mansion, The Little Shop of Horrors, The Rocky Horror Picture Show, Edward Scissorhands, and The Nightmare Before Christmas. So for a not-so-scary Halloween watch list, this is pretty good, even though there are some really bad movies on here, like Casper, Rocky Horror Picture Show, or Hotel Transylvania. I don't see how anyone in their right mind can sit down and watch those movies in their entirety. They are so bad. But there are also some really good ones in here, like Ernest Scared Stupid. That is a great Halloween movie for kids. Wallace and Gromit Curse of the Were-Rabbit, It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, Young Frankenstein. There's a lot of really good movies on here. So I would say the good outweighs the bad, so I'm going to give this one another 7 out of 10. Okay, I'm going to do one more Halloween watch list here. Starting off, we have Nightmare Before Christmas. Off to a bad start already. Halloween Town, Halloween Town 2, Halloween Town High, Return to Halloween Town, Hocus Pocus, It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, Edward Scissorhands, Sleepy Hollow, Paranorman, Casper, Beetlejuice, Scooby-Doo, Corpse Bride, Ghostbusters, Addams Family, Coraline, the Harry Potter series, what? Fantastic Beasts 1 and 2, The Sixth Sense, Edward Scissorhands again, The Haunted Mansion, Dark Shadows, Phantom of the Opera, Coco, The Princess and the Frog, what the hell does that have to do with Halloween? Beautiful Creatures, Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse, Breaking Dawn 1 and 2, Insidious 1, 2, and 3, Insidious The Last Key, The Conjuring 2, Annabelle, Annabelle Creation, Annabelle Comes Home, The Nun, Trick or Treat, It, the one from the 90s and the 2017 one, The Shining, Little Shop of Horrors, Babadook, Hush, The Ring, Rings, The Village, House on Haunted Hill, The Woman in Black 1 and 2, I didn't know there was a sequel to that, The Boy, and Before I Wake. Okay, this might be the worst list out of all of them, but let's start with the positive things I have to say. There are some good movies on here. Edward Scissorhands isn't bad, Trick or Treat, The Shining, Little Shop of Horrors. So there are some good movies on here, but there is a lot of garbage on here. Now we have to get to the bad. Number one, why are the Harry Potter movies on here? First of all, isn't there like 6 or 7 of those movies? If you're trying to cram all of these movies into 1 month, That's a lot of movies to watch. And second of all, what does Harry Potter have to do with Halloween and October? I honestly don't get it. I've read some of the books, I've seen some of the movies, and at no point in any of that time viewing this media have I ever thought this is a Halloween staple. I don't get it. Now some people might be thinking, oh, you're shitting on Harry Potter, but what about Twilight? At least the Twilight movies have monsters in them. There's vampires and werewolves. I've never seen any of those movies, but I have a basic understanding that it's all about monsters, right? Granted, it's like a love story, I think, but that's more Halloween than wizards. I don't fucking get it. There's some other movies on here I don't quite understand, like The Princess and the Frog. Is that a Halloween October movie? Because I don't think it is. I think I've only seen that movie once, like when I was back in high school, and at no point did I ever think this was like a Halloween movie. Same with Coco. Maybe it's because it's like Day of the Dead with Coco, but I don't get it either. There's also just some really bad movies in here, like this 2002 Scooby-Doo. That movie is really, really bad. Also, the Conjuring movies kind of suck, same with the Annabelle movies. So I'm gonna have to give this Halloween watch list like, I don't know, like a 3 out of 10. There are some decent movies in here, but you have to pick and choose, and you have to sit through a lot of bullshit to get to the good movies. Okay, so those were my ratings on those Halloween watch lists. But now I want to get your guys' opinion. Do you think I was way too harsh or way too generous with my ratings? Leave me a comment down below letting me know what you thought. Also, do you have your own Halloween horror watch list? If so, leave that down in the comments too. I would like to know what horror movies you guys watch during the October season. Now, before I wrap everything up here, I want to give you guys a horror movie recommendation to really spook up your October nights. And that movie is Hell House LLC, and it can be watched on Amazon Prime. Now, I don't want to spoil any of the plot, but I gotta say, this movie scared the crap out of me. Now, when it starts off, it looks like a shitty found footage Blair Witch Project ripoff, but trust me, if you stick with it and keep watching, it gets scarier and weirder as the movie goes on, and I think you guys will really enjoy it if you haven't seen it. There are also 2 sequels. The second one is actually really good too, but the third one is pretty mediocre. So perhaps watch the first and second one together, and you can probably forget about the third one. Once again, that is Hell House LLC on Amazon Prime. Check it out. So that's it for today's video. If you like what you saw, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave me a comment letting me know what you thought of today's video, checking out some of my past videos, and sharing them with a few of your friends while you're at it. If you would like to keep up with me on a more daily basis, you can follow me on Facebook and on Instagram. And I also have patches for sale, so if you would like to get your very own, you can click right over here. There's also a link down in the description. Overall, thank you very much for watching, guys, and don't forget to stay spooky.